Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another MAMJ Let's Play of 999. When we left off, we heard Seven's story about what really happened to the kids on the boat during the experiment 9 years ago. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to read your guys' comments on the episode because I have to film this a little bit early because today is Easter. Happy Easter, by the way. So because of the holiday, I wasn't able to wait in time to get this video prepped. And then yesterday, I actually had to go to a friend's wedding. So it's been crazy, but I wanted to make sure we had some 999 goodness, and that's exactly what we're gonna do from this point on. Alright, I don't know if we're gonna be able to end the series today. I'm hoping so, but it just depends on how long the dialogue is and what kind of puzzles we run into for the back end of this episode. Okay, so Junpei felt a cold lump form in the pit of his stomach. A feeling of sickening anticipation washed over him. He could feel his body shivering. He desperately did not want to know the answer he feared he knew already, but he had to ask. He had to know for sure. Can I ask you one more thing? What? The girl, Akane. What was her last name? What does it matter to you? Just tell me, okay? Please? Seven looked at Junpei curiously, and ran his tongue quickly over his dry lips. Kurashiki. Her name was Akane Kurashiki. Something inside of Junpei stopped. He had no more words left. He had no more Junpei left. He was just an empty shell of flesh and bone. Seven turned to Snake. You were there that day, weren't you? The tall kid in the jacket. That was you, wasn't it? Yes, I was. You are correct, detective. Junpei's mind was blank, withdrawn from the world. Somewhere far away, he could hear Seven and Snake talking. Don't misunderstand me. I told you before how Zero threatened me. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't say anything about what happened 9 years ago. So you're saying you're not working for Zero, right? Of course not. Clover? What about you? Hey, come on! You really think I'm working with Zero? I told you before, you idiot! I was in Nevada in Building Q! I heard that the detective rescued the kids on the boat, but I didn't know it was you. Her surprise seemed to be genuine. Seven regarded Clover for a moment and rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Well, I guess I believe you. Clover nodded. Alright, let me ask you another question. He stuck his hands into his pockets and took a few steps. Then he stopped and turned to face them again. Santa's real name is Aoi Kurashiki. He's Akane's brother. You know that? No, I didn't. Did you? Well, yes. I know Aoi Kurashiki was her brother. But I didn't know he was Santa, at least not from the beginning. 9 years ago, he was in the middle of puberty. His voice is entirely different now. I'm ashamed to say that even my exceptional hearing wasn't able to make that connection. As such, I have no reason to think Santa was Aoi. When did you figure it out? A short time ago. Clover told me that Santa might have been one of the subjects of the initial experiment. When she told me that, I had a feeling. Santa is Aoi? Akane Kurashiki, Jun's brother. That spark caught flame in Junpei's leaden mind, and the fog began to clear. Like an engine beginning to turn, images and thoughts began to coalesce in his mind, becoming faster and faster, forming bigger images, bigger thoughts. Junpei blinked. He was back. There's still a lot we don't know. I mean, like, a lot. But there's one thing I think we can say we know. What's that? The body we found in the shower room had to be Nijisaki, dressed up to look like Snake. What? Come on, man. What kind of detective are you? You didn't figure that out already? Hey, go easy on me, man. I just got my memory back, alright? Cut me some slack. Well, if he is, the 3 murders make sense then, don't they? Yeah, that's right. Murder. Kubota blew himself up, but that was murder too. So why did these murders take place? If Junpei is correct, and the body in the shower room was Nijisaki's, that means all of the people who were murdered were involved with the creation of the Nonary project. Everybody but Ace, Kubota, the person who conducted the actual experiments. Nijisaki, Hongo's assistant. Musashiro, the man who financed the project. You mean, this is all just revenge? Santa is Zero. He's getting revenge for the death of his sister. No, I don't think Santa actually murdered anyone. In fact, Junpei didn't think. He knew. He couldn't explain why or how, but he had no doubt that Santa had killed no one. Perhaps the madness of the last several hours was finally driving him insane, but Junpei had ceased to be surprised at this sudden knowledge, and had even begun to accept it. If I'm right, then it's not hard to figure out who the next victim's gonna be, is it? I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you. Snake, Clover, and Seven all nodded. The next target will be Gentaro Hongo, the person who planned the Nonary project. In other words, Ace. There was a moment of silence. And then, the room shook. From far away, they heard the sudden rush of water. Whoa! What the hell's going on here? It must be 6 a.m. Our time is up. Come on! We need to get out of here! How? In the drawer that held the picture was a key card. Junpei grabbed it. I'm betting this sucker opens the exit. Come on, let's go! Alright, so we need to get out of here. Oh, let's see, where's our exit? Is it here? Alright, let's just swipe this card. There we go. Junpei, look! It's unlocked! Yeah! Now we can go back to the library! Hurry up, Junpei. We don't have time. Let's go. Alright, let's go. Okie dokie. So we are out of here. Awesome! So what do you guys think so far, huh? What the relation between Santa and June. The door opened and they stumbled into the library, or Akane, as we should call her, I guess. The shaking had stopped, but they knew the danger hadn't passed. They ran across the hallway, straight for the large metal door. Next to the door was the Uranus card reader. They slid the keycard through, and the door rumbled open. Out of the library and into the hallway they ran. At the end of the hallway was a door. Junpei reached into his pocket to pull out the key as he ran towards it. The key he put into the lock was the Neptune key. He turned it. The lock clicked. As one, they shoved the door open and poured through it. In front of them was another great metal door. Above it was a metal plaque. It read, Incinerator. So this is the incinerator. This is the first time I've seen it from this side, but yeah, I think so. Then there ought to be a lever near the door. Yeah, right here. Junpei ran up to it. Pull that and the door should open. Got it. As he spoke, he pulled the lever. The motor in the door groaned as it slowly ground open. There was no time to waste. As soon as the door had opened far enough to admit them in, all four dashed through. Then suddenly, there before them were the four they'd parted from earlier. Ace and Lotus stood in front of the number 9 door. Santa was curled into a ball against the wall of the incinerator, holding his stomach. And then there was June. She sat slumped against the wall, exhausted. What had happened? Junpei ran toward June. He skidded to a stop in front of her and knelt down. What's wrong? Are you okay? Her face was pale and her lips dry. When she spoke, he could barely hear her.
Jumpy. You came to get me. Of course I did. I made a promise. I'm so glad you're here. So glad.
She mumbled the words over and over, weakly. Junpei could feel his heart breaking.
Hey, what happened to you? I'm fine. I just fainted. I wasn't feeling very good. I'm feeling a lot better now, though.
Are you sure?
Yes. I just need to rest a little longer. I'm sure I'll be fine. You shouldn't worry about me.
She was looking towards Santa. Junpei turned to look as well. Santa grimaced, his face contorted in pain. Seven grabbed him by the collar and roared at him. Hey, where is it? Where's the gun? You hide it somewhere? Despite himself, a grunt of pain escaped Santa's lips as Seven shook him.
I don't have it. Got sucker punched. They took the gun.
What? Who took it?
What? Isn't that obvious?
I took the gun. Ace! He did indeed have the revolver in his hand. It was pressed against Lotus's temple. Ace had her pinned to him with the other arm, and she was shaking visibly. Her fiery attitude was gone, replaced by fear. She didn't dare speak. There was sweat on her forehead, and when her eyes weren't flicking up to the gun pressed against her, they seemed to be desperately wanting to say something. Just what the hell do you think you're doing, Ace? Or maybe I ought to say, Gento Hongo, CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical. Seven's deep, baritone rumble shook the walls. Ace sneered. You have me at a disadvantage, and I don't like that. You know me, but I don't know you. Do you have any idea how much I've suffered? Can you even begin to understand my pain? The pain of prosopagnosia, right? Junpei's voice was casual, or at least it was trying to be. Another irritating insect. And how do you know that, Junpei couldn't say. He just knew. Another unexplainable mystery. No matter. If you don't want to answer, it makes no difference to me. This is a waste of time anyway. It's time for me to go. Behind Ace, Junpei could see the red. It was placed in a small indentation on the wall. Quickly, Ace placed his hand on the scanner. It beeped and he forced Lotus's hand onto it as well. Then, at last, he reached into the pocket of his jacket and pulled something out and pressed it against the panel. The third asterisk appeared on the red. The thing he had used for the final verification was the bracelet with the number 9. It had belonged to the first man to die, Kubota. I believe I've won this game. He smirked. His smirk made Junpei's blood boil. I've had quite a time playing with you. I must thank Zero, I suppose. Wait. Something about the way he'd spoken. Did Ace not know who Zero was? Junpei's eyes flicked towards Santa. He hadn't moved since they'd entered the room. Santa was still holding his stomach and groaning as if in immense pain. Junpei wasn't sure if it was real pain, but he wasn't sure it wasn't either. What the hell did Santa have up his sleeve this time? At any rate, the game ends now. I will escape and the rest of you will have a slightly less pleasant ending. I suggest you enjoy your final moments. Goodbye. Wait! Ace, of course, paid no heed to Seven's request and laid hold of the lever on the red. With a sickening sense of finality, he pulled it. What? What? Why isn't it opening? Lotus tried to take advantage of Ace's confusion and managed to twist herself out of his grasp, but at the last second, he grabbed hold of her wrist and shoved it onto the red. He waved the number 9 bracelet over the red and then his own as well. He pulled the lever a second time. No. What is this? Why? The digital root should be 9. It has to be 9. Then why? Why isn't it opening? Ace's fury and confusion had overridden all other thoughts. He had set down the revolver. It was just below the red. Seven chose that moment to act. He moved far faster than the man of his bulk should have been able to, and he launched that bulk straight at Ace. Ooh, that sounds painful. It was over before they knew it. In the blink of an eye, Ace was on the floor. He rolled onto his side, groaning in pain. Lotus ran, straight for Junpei. She darted around behind him and stuck her head out, making sure to keep Junpei between herself and Ace. Thanks for using us as a human shield. That's just wonderful, Lotus.
Phew. That was close. Too close. Thank you, Seven.
Don't mention it. Seven stood over Ace, his breathing slow and heavy. Just one punch ain't enough for him. After what he did 9 years ago, I had to rip him to pieces. But if a suspect can't talk, they ain't much good. Once he's locked up in the cell, we're gonna have a little chat.
9 years ago? Then you must be...
Yeah, you finally figure it out?
Ace planted his hands on the floor and shook his head. Junpei walked toward him. He stopped and looked down at Ace with a pity on his face. Ace, you killed Kubota, Nijisaki, and Musashiro, didn't you? Wait, Nijisaki? He peered at Junpei, genuinely confused. Oh, right. You don't know yet. Alright, we'll just go through them in order then. Let's start off with Kubota. You talked to Kubota and managed to convince him to go into door 5 alone. You killed him without making it look like you killed him. The way I figure it, you had 4 motives. 1. In the Nonary game, the number 9 was dangerous. Whoever had the number 9 bracelet could join whatever team they wanted. You could add 9 to any number and the digital root wouldn't change. That's actually a really powerful number. In other words, number 9 could do whatever they wanted. Ace had wanted to remove that threat as soon as possible. Ace also wanted to have the number 9 bracelet himself so that he could make use of its power. In fact, he later made use of it to murder Nijisaki. Even if his number had been different, Kubota presented a problem for Ace. Kubota had known Ace's past. He knew what had happened 9 years ago. Before he told anyone, Ace had to silence him. But last, and perhaps most disturbing, Ace had used Kubota as a test. He wanted to know how serious this Nonary game was. Was it truly life or death, or simply a harmless prank? He convinced Kubota to break the rules so that he might see what happened. That was why you killed Kubota, but he was only the first. Next was Nijisaki. While everyone was off looking for the missing part for the red, you ran into Nijisaki near the big hospital room. However, because of your propagnosia, you didn't realize he was Nijisaki. Chiefly because, when you met him, he was dressed like Snake. That was why you thought Nijisaki was Snake. No, that's not... That was Nijisaki? Why? How did... I'll get to that. Anyway, you thought he was Snake. Snake was one of the kids in your experiment 9 years ago. You remembered him because he was the blind kid, but his presence made you think. Snake was one of my subjects 9 years ago. He probably hates me. But if that's true, why isn't he saying anything? Is he keeping quiet because he can't see? Or perhaps he's working with Zero to get revenge on me. Whatever the reason, anyone who knows my past is a threat. Before he tries anything, I need to get rid of him. That was when you decided you had to kill him. The murder weapon was Kubota's bracelet. You just waved it over the red. Verified your own number, and then grabbed Nijisaki's arm and forced it over the scanner panel. Then, when the door opened, you kicked him in. 9 seconds later, the door closed. And then, 81 seconds passed. And poor Nijisaki was dead. Then you mean to say, Snake is still alive? Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm as good as new. Thank you for killing the wrong man, but I can't say I like knowing that you wanted me dead. Although, to be honest, even if you hadn't tried to kill me, I would still hate you very much. Well, I don't blame you. Ace's self-derision was frustrating, but Junpei kept his emotions in check and continued. Last but not least, let's talk about Musashido's death. When Clover and I were investigating the chart room, you came over to talk to me. Do you remember what you said? Oh, a pocket watch. Might I take a look at it? I handed you the pocket watch and you left the room. Ace had been in charge of the Nonary project. He would, of course, have known the solution to every puzzle. It followed, then, that he knew how to get out of the wheelhouse. All Ace had to do was place the pocket watch in the indentation on the door to unlock it. With the door open, he was able to enter the captain's quarters. Musashido was there. Next to him was an axe that fairly begged Ace to kill Musashido with it. He picked up the axe and swung it, burying the blade deep into the other man's chest. One blow was all it took. Afterwards, Ace returned to the chart room as though nothing had happened. There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei. Could you come with me for a moment? With no reason not to, Junpei had followed Ace to the wheelhouse. When they reached the wheelhouse, Ace slipped his hand into Junpei's vest. He pulled out a piece of paper. The piece of paper Junpei had used to cheat during the vote. But it wasn't the piece of paper that Ace was after. His true purpose had been to slip the pocket watch into Junpei's pocket. It wasn't a very good plan. It had far too many flaws, and the wrong word of discovery could easily have toppled it. What had made Ace so desperate? That was the only thing Junpei hadn't been able to figure out. Musashido's murder is the only one I don't understand. You obviously did it, but why? Because of this. Slowly, Ace reached down and pulled something out of his pocket. It was a folded piece of paper. Junpei took it and opened it. This is what it said. Number 1. There are 2 ways you might survive this ordeal. The first is to win the Nonary game. The second is for you to confess your sins of 9 years past. I have prepared a camera in the captain's quarters. The images captured by that camera will be streamed through a satellite and distributed all across the world. Simply look into the camera and repent. Once you have confessed everything, I will release you from this ship. To make your confession more credible, I have left you a witness in the captain's quarters. Perhaps he will confess with you. The decision is yours. Do as you please. 0. When I awoke in that room on D-Deck, I found it on my pocket. That was why I chose door 1 when we voted. If I went through that door, I knew I could get to the captain's quarters. As you said, I knew how to enter the wheelhouse. My plan was to find the pocket watch before anyone else. If I could, then my alibi would be set. At least, that was the plan. Unfortunately for me, you got to it first. That sleight of hand was the best I could manage on short notice. You meant to kill him from the beginning, then? Musashido, I mean. I only knew Musashido was the witness after I reached the captain's quarters. I asked him, and he answered. He seemed groggy. Perhaps he had only just awoken from sedation. I suppose Nijizaki was in much the same state. He seemed confused and disorientated when I encountered him. But yes, you are correct. I intended to kill him from the beginning, even though I didn't know who he was. I proceeded to the captain's quarters in order to remove this so-called witness. Ace had confessed everything. What energy he had left in him with the truth. What energy he had left with him with the truth. Let's try that again. Had left him with the truth. I can even look at the camera and say that. What's wrong with me? And sagged to his knees. Although he had confessed, his sins were not forgiven. Junpei felt revulsion for the pathetic man on the floor near his feet. But in among the revulsion was a hint of pity. After all, Ace had not been the only person who had murdered those 3 men. Junpei spoke quietly. Ace,
You've figured it out, haven't you? You're being manipulated. Yes. So it would seem. I was little more than a puppet in many ways. Everywhere I went, everything was already prepared. The Reds in the large hospital room were dismantled. Nijisaki was dressed like Snake. There was an axe in the captain's quarters. Musashido was delirious from the anesthetic, so he couldn't fight back. Nijisaki as well. In retrospect, I can't understand how I could have fallen victim to such a simple trap. I'm quite ashamed of myself. But yes, this was a trap. It was Zero's trap, and I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. I did everything he wanted me to do. Yeah. By manipulating Ace, Zero was able to kill 3 people and keep the blood off his own hands. All of this was revenge for what happened 9 years ago. That's why this nunnery game happened. Am I right, Santa? Junpei looked over at Santa. As Junpei spoke, he stood up, his legs still shaky. Huh? What the hell are you talking about? I don't know any. Ain't no point in trying to play dumb anymore, Santa. Actually, I guess I should call you Aoi Kurashiki, right? Seven's face was sad as he spoke. My memory came back, kid. You're Aoi Kurashiki, no doubt about it. Never thought I'd be back in this room talking to you. But hey, I guess this is all part of your plan, right? After all, the person who played the nunnery game this time around was Zero. And Zero is you. Looks like you really do have your memories back, huh? Santa's smile was sarcastic, and something else. Well, I guess there's no point in hiding it then, huh? Yeah, you got me. I'm Aoi Kurashiki. I was one of the kids in the nunnery game 9 years ago. I made it out. So did Snake over there. But there's one thing. No. I guess there's 2 things you got wrong. Number 1, I ain't Zero. What? Wait, what? Sure, I was helping Zero out, but I'm really more of an assistant. Like a secretary. But an assistant's only an assistant. I didn't come up with all this. All I did was follow Zero's orders. Then, if you're not Zero, who is? Calm down there, Junpei. Didn't I say 2 things? You made one more mistake. Junpei, you just said all of this was revenge for what happened 9 years ago. That's why this nunnery game happened. But that's not it. Revenge isn't the only purpose. There's another reason you guys were playing the nunnery game. To save someone. Save someone? Right. You were brought here to help my sister. To save Akane. What the hell are you talking about? Akane Kurashiki died 9 years ago in this room. I was there. I saw. Suddenly, Seven froze. His eyes went wide as dinner plates, and he spun around toward June. Junpei followed his gaze. She was gone. Where June had been, there was nothing. The hell? Where is she? Where's Akane Kurashiki? Seven began to mumble to himself, a strange series of words strung together as if his mind wasn't functioning properly. His face was twisted with effort, as though he were struggling with something they couldn't see. He gritted his teeth and pressed his hands against the side of his head. My head. Feels like it's gonna pop. He groaned and fell to his knees. Seven, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I swear to God, it feels like my head, like it's about to explode. From somewhere far away, they all heard a deep, heavy noise. It sounded like a tremendous wheel slowly beginning to turn. Santa seemed to have entered an almost trance-like state. His words were calm and measured. What was the nunnery project? I'm sure you know already, but I'll tell you one more time. It was a project designed to test a particular phenomenon. And what was that phenomenon? For 2 organisms to communicate with one another in the absence of physical contact. The morphogenic field theory. Could human beings use these invisible fields to exchange information? That was what this experiment was conducted to determine. There were two separate locations. One was the Gigantic, and the other was a building in Nevada called Building Q. Building Q had been built to replicate exactly the interior of the Gigantic. The 9 children trapped in Building Q were faced with numerous puzzles, copies of identical ones on the Gigantic. They were told to send their answers to the morphogenic field set and transmit them to their brothers and sisters on the Gigantic. The transmitters were put in Building Q, and the receivers were put on the Gigantic. Each sibling pair was supposed to be split up, but there was a mistake. Akane was a transmitter. She should have been in Building Q. However, for some reason, she was placed on the Gigantic, with the receivers like me. Perhaps she was mistaken for someone who was supposed to be in Group A. Whatever the case, Akane ended up on the Gigantic. I think I've told you enough. You get it, don't you? I'm pretty sure you know where this is going, Junpei. What is going? Don't play dumb. You know things you shouldn't. Things you couldn't. How did you know Ace had propagnosia? How did you know why Ace wanted to kill Kubota and how Nijisaki was killed? Were you surprised when you found out Ace was Hongo? And what about the coffin that Snake was trapped in? How the hell did you open it? Well, that's... The answer to that is easy. He knew because I knew. Junpei was receiving information that I sent to him through the morphogenic field set. It's simple, really. How do I know the alternate futures then? Imagine a river that splits in two, like an upside down Y. The river flows from the top to bottom, from a single stream into 2 branches. It only flows in one direction. It can never flow backward. Information is the same way. It moves from past to future, but it never flows backwards. That's why people at the river's source in the past will never know about those downstream in the future. But people downstream will never know about one another either. Information only flows along the path of the river. But I am different. I can manipulate the morphogenic field set to pluck knowledge from the future. I know what happens on either fork of the river, even though the people on either fork know nothing about one another. Now, who am I? I am I, the 9th letter of the alphabet. But I am also 0. No, that's not true. I'm not really 0. Not yet. Perhaps you could say I am less than 0. 0 is my future. In 9 years, I will be 0. Where did she go? June? No. Akane. Where did you go? Santa! Where's Clover? Oh no. Freeze. Santa's got the gun. Guess he picked it up when we weren't watching. Looks like he's turned the tables on Ace though. I wonder how he likes having a gun to his head. Get up. Sure. Sure isn't about to take that gun from him for a minute, is he? Ace isn't putting up any kind of fight. I mean, I don't think I would either, but he just looks drained. I guess he's going for the door, huh? He doesn't need to verify to go through that door, but... What's your plan, Santa? What are you doing? He can't get through any numbered door with just 2 people. What the hell is he thinking? Didn't I tell you? I'm Santa Claus. It's time for me to go make a wish come true. That's it? That's all he's gonna give us? What the hell does that even mean? They're out. And now the gate's shut. Looks like the rest of us are stuck in here. They're all looking at me. At least Seven's headache is gone. He seems to be alright. Well, I guess there's no harm in trying. Let's see if this door still opens. Looks like this door isn't opening anytime soon. You mean we're trapped? So it would seem. What the hell is Santa trying to do? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what? Have you considered where we are? There can only be one thing Santa would do now.
No. No, you can't be serious.
Oh, but he is. We gotta do something.
Maybe we can still get out through the door 9.
There's the red.
Yeah, alright, we can do this. I've just gotta...
No, it's not gonna work. There's no way. The 5 of us can't open this door.
Is there any combination that'll work? Junpei, can I borrow your pen and notebook?
Sure, why not? I don't think I'm gonna need them. Ever again. Well, she certainly looks purposeful. Looks like she's writing equations. A lot of them.
Huh?
Aw, man. She doesn't look very happy.
What? Hey, no need to be ripping pages out like that. Jeez.
What the hell are you doing, Clover? Give me that. Alright, at least 7 got it away from her. Maybe now I can look at what she was writing. Let's see. Then there's no other way.
Lotus.
Looks like she'd figured it out, though. Man, this is just too cruel.
It's okay. Go. Lotus.
Come on, you know we can't do that.
Oh, don't give me that. I'm sure you'd love to get rid of me.
You idiot!
Whoa, where the hell did that come from?
Looks like she expected that was about as much as I did. Without, if you're not... Look, it'd be bad, alright?
For a cop, he sure doesn't have much confidence.
Bad? Yeah. If there weren't people like you around, I'd be out of a job.
Huh?
Look, I'm just not leaving you behind, alright? End of story.
7. He's right. I'm not leaving you either. Me too.
You don't honestly think I'd abandon you, did you?
You're all idiots.
Act as tough as you want, Lotus. We can all see you're about to cry. That being said, however, I doubt we would be able to open the door anyway, even if we were to leave Lotus behind.
Huh? Why?
I trust you remember what happened to Ace? I couldn't, see exactly what had happened, but I was able to guess what he was attempting to do earlier at the red.
Oh, yeah.
No. What is this? Why? The digital room should be 9. It has to be 9. Then why? Why isn't it opening? Just to see, why don't we give it a shot? Give it a shot? Yes, that is what I said. Nope.
You were right.
It ain't opening.
But it did open 9 years ago.
The digital root was 9 then. I'm sure of it. You think maybe they changed the settings? Perhaps. If we can't get through the door, we can't get out. The walls are way too high. There's no way in hell we could get to that hole 7 popped out of 9 years ago. All we can do is stand here and stare at this door with a 9 on it. I guess this is it. This is the end. I was watching. I had watched everything that was reflected in his eyes. I was listening. Every sound that vibrated in his eardrums, I heard. Smell, taste, touch. I felt everything he felt. I knew. I knew everything about him. What he was thinking, what he was feeling, what he was sensing. All of his feelings and worries and fears became mine. My mind, my consciousness was inside of him. Through the morphogenic field set, we were resonant, and we were as one. I was him, and at the same time, I was an observer. It started with a tremendous noise like a clap of thunder. That was approximately 9 hours ago. A bomb had gone off on the ship we were on.
That was when my resonance with him began. My resonant event melted into him and we became one, inside of Junpei. Somehow, I find myself in Junpei's mind, 9 years in the future. But I didn't lose myself. I was living in two realities at once. One was the present, and the other was the future. Perhaps you can think of it as two movies showing on the same screen at the same time. Eventually, it becomes difficult to separate them and determine which movie is which. However, if I concentrated, I was able to focus on one or the other. That was why I was able to grasp what was happening in front of me. "Come on, over here!" That was my brother, Aoi. He was screaming. I followed him. Around me were 7 other children. They all looked like they were about my age. "Come on, hurry up!" We ran down a long, straight hallway and burst into the large hospital room. Everyone was arguing. 2 of the boys got in a fistfight. A girl watching them began to cry. "I want to go home," she cried. "I want to go home." Another girl slapped the crying girl and glared down at her. It had been 2 hours since the nunnery game began. We were starting to fall apart. But just when all hope seemed lost, Light started talking. He was blind. 9 years later, we would call him Snake. "Hello, everyone. Yes, could you come over here for a moment?" He was older than most of us, and his voice had authority and dignity. The fights died down, and we gathered around him. "I have a little sister. She's very important to me. Right now, she's over in Building Q, desperately trying to send information over to me. Her name is Clover, and today is her 9th birthday." As he spoke, he pulled something from his pocket. In his hand were 9 4-leaf clovers. I was gonna give these to her as a birthday present. I was outside picking them when I was abducted. I'm sure I've already told you, but I am blind. For a man who can't see, collecting 9 of a very specific plant is, well, it's difficult. But my sister means a great deal to me, and I hoped that these would show her how much I cared for her. Since it's her 9th birthday, I thought 9 4-leaf clovers would be appropriate. Every one of you has a brother or a sister in Building Q, with Clover. For their sake, we have to survive. We have to get off this ship. Do you understand? If we're gonna do that, there are 3 things you have to remember. We need trust and love, and we have to have faith in one another. If we can take all 3 of those to heart, I promise that good luck will come our way. Did you know that the leaves on the 4-leaf clover mean faith, trust, love, and luck? Those words are leaf words. So, if you believe what I told you, and you understand, then I want you to each have one of these. They're a promise between friends. I gave a clover to each of us. I took one too. Eventually, he was left with only a single 4-leaf clover. He had one last thing to say. Now, don't ever forget. So long as you have that, we will always remain connected. Do you understand? When he finished, the tension of only a few minutes before was gone. We were calm. Now this is not like the Sachiko Ever After charm that happens in freaking Corpse Party. After that, we ran on the ship for a while longer and opened several of the numbered doors until we finally found a door with the number 9 on it. In fact, there were 2 doors with 9 on them, and we found them in the chapel. We split into 2 groups and walked through the doors. You see, everybody survived in their version. Before long, we all found ourselves in a room with a ceiling that looked like an upside-down funnel. For some reason, this room had another number 9, but this time, it was only 1. But if there was only 1 door, that meant only 5 people could escape. What are we gonna do? There aren't any other doors? We began to panic. Then, as if things had not gotten bad enough already, Warning. Warning. Emergency Incineration Command has been acknowledged.
Automatic incineration will take place in 18 minutes. Please evacuate the incinerator immediately. Repeat, emergency incineration command has been acknowledged.
What? What's happening? What did that thing say? That didn't sound good.
My brother always swallowed hard and answered, I think it means this room's gonna burn.
Burn? The plaque on the door says incinerator, and that voice said the incineration's about to start, and incinerate means burn. No! Help me!
Abject terror filled the room as everyone began to scream and cry. Every pair of eyes were filled with despair. Then, high up on the wall, a door opened and a man appeared. He was a huge, frightening mountain of a man, as large as a bear. 9 years later, we would call him 7. Don't worry, kids. I'm not your enemy. I'm one of the good guys. I'm a detective. I'm here to rescue you. The rest happened just like 7 had said it did. The 4 of us who had stayed behind were saved by 7. We crawled through the vent, away from the incinerator, and slid down into the hall. We came out on the other side of door 9. On the wall opposite of the door that was set of, on the wall opposite the door was a set of double doors. We went through those and began to run up the spiral stairs. As we ran, I led the way. Behind me were Nona, my brother Aoi, Snake, and 7. The other children, the ones who'd gone through door 9 before us, were up ahead. I could hear them cheering each other on. We ran and ran and ran. We leapt across many stairs as we could and kept running. The stairs spiraled upward like a tornado. Eventually, I pulled ahead of the rest. Perhaps Nona had slowed them down. I don't want to lose them, so I slowed down as well. I didn't stop, but I glanced over my shoulder from time to time to see if they had caught up. That was when I realized, oh no, where is it? Did I drop Jumpy's present? I knew I had it with me when I passed through the vent. Then, had I dropped it as we slid out? I had to go back. I had to. But I knew I couldn't tell the others. They would stop me. I was sure of that. I didn't stop to think. I simply moved. I ran to the central hall, the room that connected all the other areas of the ship, and hid in the shadows, and moments later, I felt a run of wind as they ran past me, up the staircase. I waited until they were out of sight, and then I ran. I moved as quietly as I could, down and down and down. Finally, I reached the bottom deck. I ran into the hallway and looked around frantically. There it is! It was just where I thought it would be, sitting under the opening of the vent. I ran over and snatched it from the floor, but as I ran back towards the stairs and freedom, the door to the incinerator opened and a man stepped out. It was Hongo, Gentaro Hongo. 9 years later, we would call him Ace. How wonderful to see you decided to come back. His smile made my blood run cold. It looked mechanical, as if someone had simply pulled up the corners of his mouth. Come with me. We must continue the experiment. I shook my head, eyes wide. Slowly, I began to walk backwards. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Then I spun around and broke into a run. I felt Hongo's hand close over my left wrist. I said, come with me. There was an edge of insanity to his voice now. I pulled as hard as I could. No, I don't want to. Let me go. Please, let go of me. I shook my body and flailed my arms, trying desperately to get Hongo to let go of me. But I was still only a child. I was no match for a man like Hongo. Stop struggling. Do as I tell you. He heaved on my arm, trying to pull me into the incinerator. I screamed, help me! Somebody help me! Then, suddenly, Akane! The door to the stairs flew open, and my brother Aoi burst out of it. Behind him came 7 and Snake. Akane! He cried out my name again as he leapt toward Hongo. You came back! I cried out. You're too late, idiot! Hongo threw his full weight against my arm, pulling us both into the incinerator.
Huh?
The force of it threw me onto the floor. I scrambled to my feet and looked toward the open 9 door. Hongo stood between it and me, but behind him I could see my brother, his fists clenched. But those fists never reached Hongo. With the cold, heartless screech of metal on metal, the door slammed shut. Hongo glanced at me mechanically, his face registering that there was an object there, but not anything he would consider a human being. Then he turned away and walked to the red and sat next to the door. He reached into his pocket and removed 2 bracelets. He waved them both over the scanner panel. 2 asterisks appeared on the red. He checked the screen, then tossed the bracelets carelessly onto the floor. What was he doing? What was the point? He made no effort to explain himself, of course. He said nothing at all and walked past me as though I were nothing more than a rock by the roadside. A few moments later, the double doors slid shut as well. Faintly, I could hear someone pounding on the door behind me. I turned around and ran toward the door with the 9. Akane! Akane! Are you okay? I could hear the voice from the other side of the door. A worried, frightened voice. Help me! My throat was already raw, but I screamed as loud as I could. My voice echoed, lonely around the empty room. What should I do? I think I'm trapped in here. Where's Hongo? He went out the other door. What? Then it started again. Warning. Warning. Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged. Automatic incineration will take place in 18 minutes. Please evacuate the incinerator immediately. Oh man, I knew what it was gonna say, but that's one hell of a creepy voice. I knew it. It's starting. Santa started the incinerator. Man, I never thought I'd hear that voice again after 9 years. What the hell? What the hell? What are you talking about? It's 9 years this and 9 years that, and it's not when it's 9 years something, then you're talking about some sort of effing experiments. What in God's name are you talking about? You aren't making any sense. I'm sorry, Lotus, but we really don't have time to explain it right now. I promise I'll tell you everything once we get out of here. But automatic incineration will take place in 17 minutes. You know what that means, right? Incinerate means burn. What kind of idiot do you think I am? I know what incinerate means. Well, okay, fine. I won't ask anything else. Talk about whatever you want, but you have to do something for me. 7. Figure this out. What? Why me? Just shut up and stop this thing. How the hell? There has to be some sort of emergency shut-off button. There isn't anything like that. How the hell do you know? Because I looked for it 9 years ago. Yeah, Lotus isn't happy about that. Can't really blame her. Wait. The floor. It's moving. What else can I say about it, but... What the hell is that? What else could I say? But... What is that? The floor opened and the machine rose up out of it. It looked like a computer. At least, it kind of did. There was a monitor, a keyboard, and a cross-shaped device of some kind. Something about the machine scared me, but I forced myself to walk up to it. I was terrified. Tears poured down my face. I wiped them off, even as more took their place, and forced myself forward. Finally, I reached it. I looked at the screen. It was blank. All I saw was my own frightened face staring back at me from the glass, drenched in tears. All I can see on this screen is a reflection of my own face. I'm looking kind of freaked out. I know I'm sweating like crazy, but seeing it kind of drives it home. Okay, real quick, don't worry, I'm not going to stop the episode yet, but do you guys understand? Obviously there's a lot to go through here, but one of my favorite things about this is the fact that both screens, it's past and present. So like, that's why Junpei's dialogue is all on the left and Akane's dialogue is all on the right. So everything that she's been saying on the DS, it would be the top and the bottom screen, obviously, but they've kept it separate. Like if you go back and look at this, like you're playing in real time and the past. It's crazy. I love it. But like this kind of like cements that idea. It's ingenious for them to have used the Nintendo DS in a way like that. Okay, Junpei, calm down, all right? Everything's gonna be okay. Man, I wish that thing would just shut up. Automatic incineration will take place in 15 minutes. All right, back to this thing. If it's only showing up now, then it's gotta be important. But what the hell am I supposed to do with it? Hey, move. Hey, we're all tense, lady, but that doesn't make it to show people around. Okay, it's turned on. There's nothing on the screen, though. This is bad. This is really bad. If there's nothing on here, how are we supposed to do anything with it? Sure, just push buttons. I'm sure that'll... Huh. Well, at least it's on now. What's on the screen, though? What's this? The hell? Looks like some sort of puzzle. It's got a bunch of numbers scattered across the 9x9 grid. The numbers range from 1 to 9. Do you think that if we solve this puzzle, the incinerator will stop? Yeah, well, we can hope, right? Alright, puzzle. How do you work? Aw, man. That voice again. Automatic incineration will take place in 13 minutes. 13 minutes? Can we really do this? My heart feels like it's gonna pop. My heart was pounding, like it was about to explode. I stared at the puzzle on the screen. I was sure I had to solve it, somehow, but I had no idea how. My connection to Jumpy had been gone for a while. His mind was gone. I couldn't get any more information from him. I felt the seconds tick by as I stared at the screen, completely lost. My cheeks felt hot as tears poured over them. I heard a voice. Hey, what are you doing? It was muffled. I turned around. Pressing against the window in the entry door was a face. A frightening, evil face. God, he's creepy. It was Hongo. How long had he been watching me? Oh, don't know what to do? He was yelling, but his voice was still muffled. It's simple, really, but I suppose I might as well tell you. Just solve the puzzle on that machine. His laughter was muffled by the door, but it still tore at my heart like the claws of a vicious monster. I bit my lip and glared at Hongo, struggling back hot tears. You're a terrible person. I hate you. Oh my, how could you call a gentleman as myself a terrible person? That's not very nice. I'm quite fair. I don't use tricks or play dirty. You see, I even left you a way out. A way out? Didn't you hear me? All you have to do is solve that puzzle. Do that, and you can stop the incinerator. What's the point of stopping it? You'll only capture me and make me do this all again. I'm not gonna listen to you. If you're just gonna throw me back in here, I might as well just die now. My goodness, haven't you listened to anything I've said? I told you I'm a fair man. If you solve the puzzle, the verification function of the red will turn to activate. If this experiment is to deliver valid results, there must be a chance of success. If you succeed, you will exceed. The verification function of the red? Then I remembered. Before Hongo left the room, he'd scanned 2 bracelets into the red. Haha, so you do remember. Right now, there are 2 numbers in the red. The first is 1, and the second is 3. Say, Akane, what's your number? I looked down at my left hand. The face on my bracelet showed a 5. I ran to the door with the 9 on it. I grabbed the red and put my hand against the scanner panel.
You really aren't one for listening, are you? I hear Hungo's muffled voice from across the room. I already told you, didn't I? Once you solve the puzzle, the verification function of the red will activate. In other words, if you haven't solved the puzzle, you can't enter your number. What kind of fool are you? Why are you doing this? You could never understand. You don't know what it's like to spend every day surrounded by monkeys. Now, start the experiment. Solve the puzzle. I can't. I don't know how. Of course you don't. Isn't that the point? You understand, don't you? Access the morphogenic field and find the solution. I can't. Then you'll die. You'll burn alive. It's gonna be quite hot in there in a few minutes. I imagine it'll be very painful. His horrible laugh echoed across the room. Even after his face disappeared from the window, I could hear it. Automatic incineration will take place in 10 minutes. I was crying. Great gulping sobs broken by hiccups that shook my body. I was terrified. I could feel my fear pressing down on me like a tremendous weight. Somehow, I forced my shaking legs to carry myself back to the device. I stared at the empty monitor. I can't. I just can't. There's no way. I can't figure this out. What was I gonna do? I didn't know. I don't even know where to start. Fear scattered my thoughts, and all I could do was think of how I was going to die. My palms were sweating, and my blood was boiling in my veins. It was hot. So hot. I couldn't breathe. I felt dizzy. My heart roared in my chest, as if it would pound itself into pieces. I reached into my pocket. I wrapped my hand around the thing I'd come back to get. The doll Jumpy had given me. At least I had that. I held it tight with both hands and prayed. Help me, Jumpy. Help me. Help me. Help me. Jumpy. 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 Please. Help me. Jumpy. Akane. Akane? Who the hell is Akane? Shut up. Just shut the hell up. Seven and Lotus don't understand. I think Clover and Snake have an idea, though. Clover's looking at me. And I think Snake may have figured it out. No, it doesn't matter. They're in my way. Where'd she go? Maybe over here. Akane! Akane! Can you hear me? Akane, say something! Did something break our connection? I swear I just heard her. Akane! Answer me! Akane! Jumpy? I spun around. I heard a voice. His voice. I looked around. He wasn't in the room, of course, but I'd heard it so clearly. Like he was right there. Jumpy! I screamed as loud as I could. Immediately, I heard him call back. Akane! Jumpy! That's her! She's there! Then that means... Akane, are you in an incinerator right now? Yes, I am. How did you know? Now I understand what Santa meant. Right, there's only one way to help her. You were brought here to help my sister, to save Akane. I think I get it now. Automatic incineration will take place in 7 minutes. Jumpy, we don't have time. As quickly as I could, I told him that I had to solve the puzzle in order to stop the incinerator. Got it. And I do. I get everything now. At last, I finally understand what all of this means. I know why the nonary game was held today. I know why we were kidnapped and brought here. It was all for this moment. All of this was planned out to lead to this one moment. Oh my god. This is insane. I can't believe it, but there's only one possible answer. June is... 0 is... Akane Kurashiki. She recreated the history of the future that she had a glimpse of 9 years ago. She tried to save herself that way 9 years ago. No, she's trying to save herself right now. That means that there's only one thing for me to do. Even if this is all some sort of insane plan, I will save her. I will save Akane Kurashiki. I must save her, no matter what. Automatic incineration will take place in 6 minutes. Jumpy? Yeah, I know. Just hang on, alright? I promise, I'll get you out of there. I'm not gonna let you die. I promise. So, don't worry, alright? Just give me a few minutes, okay? Okay. My voice shook as I answered. It was hot in the room. It felt like my heart was on fire. 6 minutes or not, my heart burned with my feelings for him. Alright, time to get to work, Junpei. Is Snake talking to them about something? Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. Get out of my way. Hey, what are you? Just trust me, okay? Sorry, Lotus. I didn't mean to snap, but there's a lot more at stake here than your pride. I'll apologize later, alright? Now, let's have a look at this thing. We've got numbers all over this grid. Now, if I'm looking at this right, I'm gonna need to fill in all the empty squares with the numbers from 1 to 9. But I can't use the same 2 numbers in any horizontal or vertical row. The same has to go for the 3x3 square with the thick lines around them. That means I need to put different numbers in the horizontal and vertical rows, as well as the 3x3 spaces. I think that's the rule here. Alright, bring it on! I'm gonna do this on my own, with my own mind. I'm gonna solve this problem. Okay. Alright, so I'm actually gonna leave this episode right here because I know that we're very, very close to the end and you guys have had a ton of revelation. The bigger revelations have been, they've already occurred, but there's still a little bit more to go, obviously, in the story. We need to find out what happens to everybody and what's gonna happen to the resolution of the story, and I don't really know if I wanna go too much over an hour because this is technically the short video, but another thing that I need to do is clearly when you play this on the Nintendo DS, she's the bottom screen and it's flipped over. And what you do is you take your DS, you flip it around, and then you solve it as her because you're getting Junpei's mind, like you're getting his information and you're solving it. Now, for those of you that are wondering why Akane is unable to solve this, obviously this game is a little old now. So even 9 years ago, it quite doesn't make sense, but if you think about when this game initially came out, and then you take it back 9 years ago, Sudoku didn't exist. It was never created yet. So to Akane, this is a bunch of just gibberish. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand it's a Sudoku puzzle, but for Junpei, 9 years in the future, he understands what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to solve it, so he can help her get through it. It's really cool, it's really clever. I'm just gonna have to, I'm gonna have to flip it and solve it and then flip it back, and it's gonna take probably a little bit more editing, so I'll go ahead and leave this episode here, and then we will continue our final stretch of 999 in the next video. I promise. I know I keep saying that, but it should be it. That should be the final stretch. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys on the next MAMJ. Let's play.
Seven didn't have time to argue. Instead, he simply nodded and took off down the stairs. The boy in the jacket followed. They ran all the way down to the bottom floor, calling for her. Akane was nowhere to be found.
Where the hell did she go?
The boy in the uniform couldn't hide his frustration. Help me! Somebody help me! It was a girl's voice. Akane! The boy in the uniform threw open the door and leapt into the hallway that faced the incinerator. Seven and the boy in the jacket followed. Seven couldn't believe what he saw. Hongo grabbed Akane by the arm and was doing his utmost to force her into the incinerator.